There are two primary ways to work in the model environment: parametrically, which focuses on the relationships between features, or directly, which deals only with selected model faces. The main difference is that direct modeling functions by manipulating faces without regard for previously established relationships. To highlight this, I'll enable the press-pull command and show how parametric changes behave. I'll select the top face of the model to access the Offset Faces command and move the face with the drag handle. Notice that, since the thickness is determined by a single cut tied to the height of this face, and the cut was made on the face's plane, the thickness of the whole part changes with the face while the cut maintains its depth. This parametric intentionality can be seen in other places as well. I'll cancel the Offset Faces command, Control-select the 4 outer fillets on the top of the model, and enable the Press-Pull command. Notice, however, that the number of faces is only 1, and when I move the drag handle, the fillets on top of the model adjust as well. This is because the fillets were all added in a single feature, so they maintain their parametric relationship and adjust as a group. This could be fixed by rolling back in the timeline and breaking up the feature, but I'll instead use this example to show the advantage of direct modeling. To switch to direct modeling, I'll click the gear at the end of the timeline and select Do Not Capture Design History. A warning appears, letting me know that the history on the timeline will be erased and future changes won't be tracked. I'll click Continue, and the timeline vanishes. The features that were on the timeline have been added to the browser, and though selecting them only selects the faces they created, you can also right-click on a feature to move its faces, add them to a selection set, dissolve the feature, or delete it. I'll delete Fillet 7. And notice that both the feature and the geometry it created are removed from the model. Note, however, that only some features can be deleted this way. I'll next dissolve Fillet 6. And notice that while the feature vanished from the browser, the fillets it created remain. In exchange for the loss of the timeline, direct modeling gives much more focused control over the model by allowing you to manipulate any face. To show this, I'll select the 4 outer fillets again, enable the Press-Pull command, and move the drag handle. Since adjustments are made directly to the face, I can now manipulate only the select fillets. This control is powerful, but since there aren't any relationships holding the model together, you need to be keenly aware of how the selection will interact with the rest of the model. To illustrate what can go wrong, I'll cancel the Offset, select the top face, and re-enable the Press-Pull command. Since the relationships are no longer maintained, as I move the drag handle, only the selected face is adjusted, and neither the thickness of the model nor the cut depth update as before. By keeping in mind how the faces selected will affect the model as a whole, however, you can easily make drastic changes to a model. I'll insert the fork assembly into the design. And notice it doesn't line up with the right hole. I'll need to adjust the crown model, which could be tricky to do parametrically. With direct modeling, however, the task is simple. One of the most powerful and unique aspects of direct modeling is the ability to move faces. I'll hide the fork assembly and switch to the top view on the view cube. I know the hole needs to be moved 20 millimeters. so I'll window select all the faces on the side. Note that in order to select every face on that side like this, you need to have Select Through enabled in your selection filters. I'll enable the Move command. Move the pivot to the top horizontal edge and move the faces 20 millimeters to the right. I'll show the fork assembly again, and you can see that it's now aligned with the hole. Both direct modeling and parametric modeling have their uses, but remember that switching to direct modeling eliminates all previously established relationships. I'll switch back to parametric modeling by right-clicking on the crown name in the browser and selecting Capture Design History. The timeline returns, but the features are gone and crown is now simply a set of faces that result in a solid body. Any future changes or relationships will be recorded, but the original features were lost when design history was turned off. As a guiding rule, begin with design history enabled, as it is by default, and turn design history off only if you feel that it compromises your design capabilities.